with a knife as his wife cried, cause he died a trifling death when he left his very last breath. Was I slept, so watch your step. Back in the 60s, our brothers and sisters were hanged. How could you gangbang?
I never ever ran from the Ku Klux Klan, and I shouldn't have to run from a black man.
Cause that's
self-destruction. Yeah, my self-destruction. Self-destruction. Yeah, my self-destruction. Self-destruction. Yeah, my
Hey you guys, so I have been gone for a minute, but I decided to double back and do a video. And today I'm going to discuss the death of the Black conscious community. I've spent the past couple of weeks watching videos of different brothers who consider themselves conscious. I've watched a lot of conscious debates on Saneta's channel on YouTube. And as a Black woman, I am completely disappointed in the interactions I see when people are supposed to be debating our history, our lack of information. You know, they're supposed to be giving us information. I guess that's the point of sharing what they know, but it's kind of comprised in a debate format. And what I've noticed is things get really personal, sometimes volatile, a lot of times disrespectful. And I don't know how you could promote a message of unity when you can't even seem to unite with your brother who's doing something similar. So it seems like there's never a collective exchange of ideas. The behaviors kind of go back to, I guess, past leaders. If I was to think of just an example off the top of my head, I probably would think about W.B. Du Bois versus Marcus Garvey, or W.B. Du Bois versus Booker T. Washington. And if you don't really know their history, W.B. Du Bois came from a prominent middle class family, and he was more for integration, kind of like Dr. King. And Marcus Garvey and Booker T. Washington was more for self-sufficiency, which, when you think of it logically, self-sufficiency makes the most sense. So it's not like the debates I'm witnessing in today's time is any different from what was taking place 50 years ago, 40 years ago. I'm just extremely disappointed that when you fast forward to 2019, there is still this air of competing for attention or the affection of the Black community. And it's more about telling us what we don't know or where we're going wrong, as opposed to exchanging ideas, climbing up the ladder, and reaching back and grabbing your brother or your sister. I am immensely disappointed. I watch those debates, the brothers be disrespecting one another. I'm not even mad at the cursing. I curse like a sailor, so I'm not mad at that. What I'm mad at is that intelligent people can't have a debate and exchange ideas without one taking it personal. It's like there's such a massive amount of I don't want to call it feminine energy, because that kind of makes it seem like women are only emotional. So let me just use the term emotional energy. It's like a large, I don't want to say a large, I'm just going to say it is more right brain behavior. You know, the right brain, your right brain governs your emotions, and your left brain governs logic. And it seems like in a debate would be led by left brain thinking, logical thinking. But what I notice is a lot of those debates are led by right brain thinking. And in another video, I'll give you the reasoning behind that. So I'm just going to stay on task. in this day and age, people make fun of being woke. White people consider themselves woke. And I think part of it has to do with like a mockery people are making of the conscious community. You know, when I was in college, to be considered conscious or deep or woke, it was a compliment, in my opinion. But now somebody calls you woke and there's a negative connotation or a joke to it. There are just me watching some of the people in the conscious community. There are a lot of frauds out there, and it seems to me that it's way more about getting YouTube views or the money that you may make from advertisement or the money that you may make from speech and engagements. That seems way more important to actually nourishing your people's mind or giving them what you know. And I don't know how we evolve as a community if we still engaging in the same type of behavior from 50 years ago, 40 years ago, 30 years ago. You know what I'm saying? You start out with like W.B. Du Bois and Booker T. Washington and Marcus Garvey, with W.B. Du Bois beefing with both of them. Then you fast forward and then you have this King, Malcolm X, not necessarily a beef, but being on two ends of the spectrum. Where at the end of the day, they were fighting for Black civil rights. So regardless of what your religious beliefs are, your economic beliefs, your social beliefs, there was still a reason to unite. And see, that's the enemy's number one goal, is to keep us disjointed, separate, and in a mindset where we prefer them to our own. As long as we stay disjointed and not united or divided, the enemy will always win, regardless of who that enemy is. Um, there are. This is not to say that there aren't some extremely intelligent people in the conscious community. I think Brother Polite is immensely intelligent. He's very articulate. He's historically astute. He's a linguistics expert. That's usually what he uses to murk people in debates. And he's very calculating. He knows exactly how to lure you in the debate and expose what you don't know. I also like Dr. Umar Johnson. However, um, both of them have characteristics that are questionable to me. I also like. I haven't. I love Rizza Islam. He is my absolute favorite out of all of them. He seems to be less inclined to the drama. You know what I'm saying? So his message, his rhetoric seems more sincere. And he has not gone to college, but you can tell that the brother is well studied. And see, that is the difference. You have some of these people in the conscious community, you might know a little bit more than the next person, but you're not well studied. And that also is annoying. Like Brother Polite, he's well studied. That's why you always hear people saying, he using big words. No, he's well studied. And if you want to compete, you might want to study too. Dr. Umar, he's very intelligent, very well studied, very well spoken. It's the things that he does outside of the camera that's, a little bothersome to me. But nobody's perfect. You know what I'm saying? No leader has been perfect. However, it's that strive for perfection that makes you a great person. Because none of us are going to be perfection. It's striving for perfection that makes us better people, that speaks to evolution. Um, I really hate that our conscious community has descended into debate um, it's almost like wrestling or boxing, where you have these debates that are hosted on Sonetta, I think that's how you say his name, his channel. To me, it's almost like you're making a mockery. You're making a mockery of what we've been through. You're making a mockery of Black intellect. There's so many other ways to utilize your channel. And I don't even see anything wrong with the debates. Maybe you need some type of format, and maybe there needs to be disqualifications for people who get disrespectful. Because I know how that is. I debate quite often on Facebook, and honestly, I haven't came across a person yet that I'm I felt like they got the best of me. And whenever I'm making points that they can't refute, I notice that people get disrespectful, get angry, especially men. I don't think they like to feel like a sister feels like she knows more. But in reality, um, my background, I have a bachelor's degree in history, a master's degree in public administration with a focus in healthcare management. I'm currently pursuing another master's in clinical mental health counseling where I'll finish in December. So I consider myself to be well versed, well learned, articulate, all of those things. And a lot of the times I end up in debates. People even tag me on certain posts just for me to debate people. And what I have learned is what I have learned is only to debate your equals. Everybody else you teach, because when you debate certain people, it's so much more. It's so much more about being right. You know what I'm saying? Or giving the illusion of being right rather than an exchange of ideas. Um, I would love to see the conscious community evolve. I've also started watching a guy named Young Pharaoh. You can tell he's very young. He gets really emotional. There's a lot of right brain dominance when he debates. So if he debate any intellectual, he'll probably lose because there's a lot of right brain dominance. He gets really emotional and hyper. Kind of like the complete opposite of Rizza Islam. There's a lot of left brain dominance, logic dominance. So he is less likely to be emotional when expressing his opinion. Um, there is a guy named Nature Boy. Now, I just like got turned on to Nature Boy. He has supposedly him and his cult group, or whatever they call Carbon Nation. First, I think they started out in Costa Rica. Now they're in Mexico. He was calling himself the Christ. Sometimes he makes good points, but just the way he lives his life um, makes it seem like what he's talking about isn't genuine, like there's an agenda to it. Um, I'm just really disappointed that you have these people who don't seem to genuinely mean our community any good, and they are at the forefront. Now, of course, none of them are leaders. Um, Black people, we're not following clowns, not at all. It's hard to give our heart to a clown, especially with being how judgmental we are. I'm ready for the Rizza Islams, the brothers that are well studied. You know what I'm saying? Well studied, respectful, and knows how to engage in intellectual exchange without it getting personal, or without it becoming disrespectful or deteriorating to disrespect. I noticed that a lot with the young Pharaoh guy. He When he feels like he may be losing the debate, to me, he does a lot of distracting, a lot of yelling, he's kind of braggadocious. He comes across more as a entertainer than an intellectual. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. However, I don't want to go to your YouTube page thinking you conscious and your YouTube page comes across like a gossip site. You know what I'm saying? Like a conscious version of the Wendy Williams show. Like that's not what I'm looking for. It's disheartening because what it says to me in my mind is like, what am I gonna really learn from you? Because you clearly have a lot more to learn. Again, I don't want to knock him because he seems like he's a youngster. So he just has a lot more to learn. I'm sure there's opportunity for evolution. I'm hoping that the conscious community wakes up because I don't know how you can call yourself conscious if you're still asleep. That's all I have to say. Bye.